Coming up today on JBYC.
Conspiracy theories. We all have our favorites. Mine's Darth Jar Jar. We'll talk about others.
Why do people believe such crazy things?
The conspiracy bowling ball is radicals' answer to the USB-C no balance whole rule change.
All that and more on today's episode of JBYC.
Just believe your colon.
Oh my God, Mulder. It smells like... I think it's bile.
Is there any way I can get off my fingers quickly without betraying my cool exterior?
That pacing was so slow, though.
It's a mix-up. Mixing it up.
Hey everybody, it's Sunday, April 22nd, 2019. I'm Bobby Frankenberger and you're listening to episode 5 of JBYC.
I didn't go back and fix the script for you. It's Monday, Bobby. Monday.
It's actually Monday, April 22nd. There is no Sunday, April 22nd. Thank you, Ryan, my faithful co-host. This is the show where three people who've been friends longer than any of us care to remember get together and talk about what's been in our minds the past week. Every week we have a topic or a theme, and this week's theme is conspiracy theories, chosen by you guys. You voted for that theme, and that's what we're doing. Let me introduce my fellow co-host. First up is Ryan. How's it going, Ryan?
Good. I did not watch Game of Thrones.
You did not watch Game of Thrones. I certainly did watch it, and it was great. Aren't there only like six? I think there's only like 6 episodes this season.
Something like that, yeah.
It's only 6 left.
Yeah.
You should watch Game of Thrones, Ryan, because it's filled with conspiracies.
Hey, it's lots of conspiracies. And that talking right there is our other co-host, American Johnson, or Edge.
I've decided I want you to call me The Edge from now.
The Edge, okay. The Edge.
I'm just gonna keep pushing the envelope with my nickname until
you're just gonna keep sort of cultivating it until it becomes
boosting it.
Yeah. Kneading the bread dough until it becomes a nice I don't know where this analogy is going. I'm just gonna cut it off now.
I would normally give you a hard time for that analogy, but bread's kind of an element of my brand.
Oh yeah, it's also the
like
best
all
tasting
bread?
food. No, really, it's the best tasting food.
This is
come at
going
me.
off the rails already.
I really want to argue about that, but it's not worth it.
What's the best tasting food, Ryan?
I mean, okay.
I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm doing a thing.
Grains in general, I'm with you, like a pasta or something like that, maybe.
Oh, I thought you said brains in general. I was like, ooh, going on. But
Zombie
grains,
Ryan.
yeah.
What is that? Zika? Something virus? Can't eat brains. Makes you crazy.
Zika.
Ziki sounds more tropical and fun, though. What's your favorite food, Edge?
Are we really doing our favorite foods? Okay.
You can't say bread.
My
It's
favorite
your brand.
I mean, my favorite foods probably include bread. I would say that bread is a food
yes.
booster. It's a taste
It's a
booster.
very good conveyance of food.
Like I like hamburgers, but I don't like hamburger buns, and I like hot dogs, but I don't like hot dog buns. I like pizza, but I don't like pizza.
But do you like hot dogs? Like, do you want the bun on the hot dog though, right? Or like
That's what I'm saying. It's a food booster. It's like a food buff.
yeah, food buff. I'm a food buff.
It adds to the stats of the food taste.
Yeah, I gotcha. So
You're a
These
gamer.
are pretty good.
so does that make
Get it?
bread like a condiment to you?
No, I told you it's a food booster.
But so
Condiments
are
are also
condiments.
food boosters.
Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise.
All
It's
squares are
conveyance.
rectangles, but not all rectangles are square.
Right, I
You get what I'm
gotcha.
saying?
I gotcha. There's some
Bread is
joke
like
about
the-
Venn diagrams in there.
It's the foundation for food. It's the conveyance that gets it into your mouth without you like having a handful of peanut butter.
And some things that you think of as a food aren't food at all, like beans.
Beans are really
know?
good food.
Well, yeah, but here in Vietnam, it's a juice, and they think
What?
that they throw the beans out, it's trash. See?
They
You know
don't
this
do
stuff
like
if you ever watch my channel. They take the beans and they cook the beans, and then they throw the beans away.
jerk.
The beans
Yeah,
are
this
trash.
this segment
They just-
served with a little bit of guilt.
I lost interest immediately.
Well, you know what? With that, today's episode is brought to you by. This is a fun
The
one.
disaster.
I think this is supposed to be a joke about. Anyway, today's episode is brought to you by. Let's see if we've got some music for this. I'll use the same music I use every time. Rent eating your wallet? Having trouble keeping up with payments? Boy, do we just have the thing for you. Rent control! Rent control! Apply directly to the landlord. Only getting paid in tips and tiers. Think no more. Rent control restricts your landlord to only taking your tiers. I mean tips, of course. The rest of your money can now be spent on meaningful things like this sandwich or your child's health care. Rent control, rent control. Apply directly to the landlord. I should have a fade out on that music.
Dismantle capitalism and do away with all landlords. Am I right? Yeah. Also, the Kata Carbix said bread is good on its own. I think you're a little biased, aren't you, Kata Carbix? I'm one to you.
Conspiracy, I think. Big bread in the
a carb-spiracy.
Yeah, big bread. Don't miss my joke.
Say it again.
Big bread. You know, it's like big pharma. I'm explaining it now.
Bobby knows how to make a joke land.
Right.
In the end.
Right, exactly.
We can workshop it if you want.
Yeah. So
we get really punchy.
So I've been working on stuff around. We went camping this past week. That's why last week.
We did not. He went with his family.
Yeah. When I say we, I mean me and the Frankenberger family. But we went to this really small state park, and that was a lot of fun. The kids first.
Did you try to swim across the deepest lake in South Carolina with your blue jeans on?
No, I learned my lesson.
Again.
I learned my lesson 20 years ago. Was that really 20 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We were in high school.
Yeah.
Bobber Rooney.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so what he's talking about is we all went out like teenagers do. We went on camping trips. Is that a thing that teenagers do? I think so, if horror movies are to be believed. We went on a camping trip and decided to go swimming in a lake, but none of us brought like swimming clothes. Like, you know, I'm an old person, so I call them swimming clothes. And
I don't call them swimming clothes, and I'm the same age as you, but okay. Continue.
So we decided to swim in our clothes. We had jeans on, and you don't really realize how heavy jeans are and how much they weigh you down in the water until you decide that you're
halfway across the lake.
We did. Everyone else who was with you did, because everyone else who was with you was just wearing our underwear. But
you guys took your pants off, and I was like,
that's why we didn't. Almost
I was like a
drown
homophobic teenager or something. I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
I didn't even go. I sat in the shadows and watched you almost drown.
Ryan was truly the smartest of all of us.
But yeah, Bob had to get rescued by some guy who was just trying to get drunk in his speedboat.
Yeah, this is like seriously, I had a legit near-death experience. I literally thought, and this is not the hyperbolic use of the word literally, I literally thought in that moment I was going to die. Like I did not. We're swimming across this lake, and first of all, piece of advice: when you're standing on one side of the lake shore and you look over to the other side, it looks a lot closer than it really is. Okay, just so you know. So we decided to swim across. I was like, I can do this. I can impress my boys, and so we swam. We got in the middle of it. Did I mention? I think Edge mentioned this lake was called Devil's Fork Lake. It's the deepest lake in South Carolina. We got into the middle of it.
It has the word devil in it.
It was like a ravine.
Yeah, because it's a fork.
It was
like
hamburgers.
this.
It wasn't hot dogs. It was very deep.
And it was one of the forks we were swimming across.
But the lake looked like a hot dog. Yes.
Yeah. So we get out into the middle, and I gave up. In that moment, I just gave up and just decided, you know what? It's either I'm going to drown. While I'm drowning, I might as well start screaming for help just in case. So I did scream for help. To the credit of my fellow comrades, Edge and our other friend Steven, they did not keep going. They stayed and tried to help me, but we would have all drowned if there was a guy like pulling his boat out at the boat dock, and he heard me screaming and jumped in and picked us up and told us how stupid we are, and then dropped us off at the shore and left.
Do you even remember the name of the man who saved your life, Bob?
No, I was an insensitive 16 or 17-year-old. I
Did he
wish
give his name?
Maybe not.
I don't think I would. I'd be like, okay, yeah, good for you. Get out.
And the name of
Go.
that man was Albert Einstein.
I feel like
Sorry,
there
that was a
should have
meme.
been.
That was a meme. If you were more clued into the memes of Albert Einstein, you would have gotten that better.
I'm
Right?
not a meme-stein.
Yes.
Not at all.
You're not a memesman.
I do memes, and I didn't get it.
Yeah,
The stream just crashed for Dorian Sapiens.
Oh no.
Did it crash for everyone else? I'm just doing a double check.
I'm
I
not.
felt like there should have been like fanfare when Bobby said comrades, because as soon as he said it, I looked at American's screen thinking, oh, he's gonna say something, and he didn't.
Yeah. Stream looks fine on my preview window, so keep trying to join us. All right, why don't we head into?
I know that one.
Why don't we head into this?
Everybody,
His
do
name
the
is
robot.
Ryan Reynolds.
Everybody do the robot, Ryan. Ryan, we're talking about conspiracy theories today. What can you...
Wait.
Huh?
Wait. I have a transition.
Yeah?
We just
Bobby,
did the transition.
Yes.
I have a transition from the transition to the. Okay, Bobby, you got your life saved by that gentleman in the fishing boat, and that means that you owe him a Gungan life debt, much like Jar Jar Binks owned a Gungan life debt to. Well, who is that? Obi-Wan? No, the other Kenobi guy. What was his name? Yeah. What was his name?
Obi-Wan?
Jennison
No.
Jameson?
James
No,
Jambaroo
Benjamin-
Jameson.
Benjamin's Jedi dad.
Jim Dragon
Qui-Gon.
Obi-Wan Jin.
Wasn't that a good transition?
That was a
You
great
see-
transition.
really
Best
That
transition
was a
transition
pro
history.
transition. That was an edgy transition.
Does every
Right on the edge.
like race and species in Star Wars have their own version of a life debt? I mean, there's Wookiee
Probably.
life debts, Gungan life debts.
I mean, there are universe where you have things in your body that give you special powers. So
Do
they
I
probably
owe
have stuff like
owe that guy with the boat a
That's what I
life
just
debt?
said.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
No,
you
Bobby,
owe that-
you're not a Star Wars man. You don't live in the Star Wars universe. That doesn't actually happen.
What? Yes, I
I mean,
do.
if he showed up, you could like save his life if you wanted to.
We all live in the same universe. We just don't live in the same galaxy. Don't you read the blue text at the beginning of the movies?
Yeah, it was a long time ago
You have
though.
to read it to me.
What about conspiracy theories? There's a conspiracy theory in the Star Wars thing. It's one of your favorites, isn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, but I didn't want to start with that one. I want to start with other ones. Okay. So, okay, have you guys, for instance, like, do you guys know some of the weirder ones, like Denver International Airport? It's supposed to be
Oh
like
man.
the gateway to hell.
Okay, yeah, you keep talking about that. I'm gonna find this YouTube.
There's
video.
two different things for that. There's the gateway to hell, and also that like what's it called? The New World Order has a secret base underneath Denver International Airport, and people
We did-
think this because like there's a closet door with a key card thing on it that no one ever uses.
There's also all that
Just-
creepy art throughout the airport.
Well,
I think is more
there's a
compelling.
giant hell horse out front. Yes.
Here we
I can't
go,
remember what
this
it's
guy-
called.
Like some Masonic art or something like that. I can't remember.
There's like
But there's
weird
paintings
imagery.
and stuff. Or there used to be at least.
Yeah.
I don't know if there still is.
You guys ever
I
heard
remember
of the third eagle of the apocalypse?
No, I guess we're going to now.
It's this guy. He's talking about it.
Let's take a look at the first of these, which I have called on previous programs the birth of the Antichrist. Now, in previous videos,
I gotta
I
show
have
you.
pointed
This sounds like
out that
somebody
this
we
is
all
actually
trust.
the figure
Yeah.
of a naked woman, and the crotch is formed by a bird form.
I don't like
But
how he said
right
crotch.
opposite the woman is a penguin, and a YouTuber pointed out to me that this sign
Yeah. This guy. He's the
A
third.
YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's got the solid sources there.
Yeah. He's the third eagle of the apocalypse. He's I can't remember his real name. But he's amazing.
He sounds like Hank Hill's kooky brother or something.
Notice that this is actually called a great auk.
Anyway, yeah.
I'm
Keep going.
just a country lawyer.
He does a whole thing about
Damn it, Bobby.
about
The horse-
Denver. Yeah. The horse is right
another
here.
thing about
Here's
Denver
another
Airport.
thing,
Where it's called
As you approach
Lucifer.
the Denver airport by car, you are immediately struck by this gigantic statue of a blue fiberglass horse.
Lucifer.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Keep going.
It is
Lucifer,
weird that it's fiberglass. I'm saying it's a little suspicious.
it's
I didn't know it
really
was
cool
fiberglass.
looking. It's super cool looking. When building Lucifer, the creator got crushed by Lucifer.
What? I didn't know
Lucifer
that.
also killed another person. I can't remember what the reasoning for that one was, or what
What his
happened.
reasoning was? What
I thought we were
Lucifer's-
talking about conspiracy theories, not factual hell demon summoning.
I mean, that's just part of the conspiracy theory. Like, there has to be a little bit of credence to it to like start making sense. Yes, the horse killed 2 people, but that doesn't mean it's hell on earth
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the New World Order like super bunker.
Or does it?
That's one of the ones I really like because like when I heard about that like years ago, and people were like, because there's these doors and they all have these keypads and they never go back there. I'm just like, I immediately think like, because there's like the back hallways and they don't need to go back there.
Yeah, it's some weird stuff in that airport. It's got a cool roof though.
Many of
never
the
seen it. You're
shapes
looking at
on
the
the
airport
horse's
right now?
tail and mane are
No, you're just listening to
Okay. I'll stop playing that. Go ahead.
The tail and the
Another-
mane and the crotch.
He says something about the horse's penis, so I was trying to find that.
The horse's penis.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make a crotch supercut of Double Eagle 3, the third eagle of the apocalypse.
Triple.
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
Double
okay.
eagle.
Like there's other weird ones like fluoridation
phallic
and like
shapes.
Sorry.
hollow earth and stuff like that, which I think are just whatever.
Hollow Earth.
But, like-
Yeah, man. Some guy who claims to be a scientist, and don't they always claim to be scientists?
Well, yeah.
And he thinks that the Earth is hollow. Yeah, that's a good one.
Is it just the outer crust and that's it?
I think
Is it
that's what
true
they
that the
think.
Nazis
There are
thought the
people
Earth
who
is
think
hollow?
that the Earth is
I
hollow,
don't think so.
and that there's like
Someone said that not someone. I've read like a lot of these conspiracy theories that the Nazis had like this Arctic base and they're trying to find the opening of the.
Is
Actually,
any
well,
of
there
that
was
weird cultish stuff about the Nazis actually true, or is that
Yeah,
just
well,
like
no,
I think
they
They had
absolutely
an
had
occult
like
division.
cults.
And an
sure.
occult division too that like looked for that kind of stuff. Yeah. But
Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff. There's like it's like hard to distinguish fact from fiction, especially because
Yeah.
there's been so many video games and movies about that stuff.
right? I just didn't
And
know
I
if that's
get- I
been
get
like
confused.
exaggerated over the years.
in this kind of like in like the passage of time kind of way, there's calendar conspiracies which are pretty good. So
Oh,
some
I've heard of
people-
those. Like the historians deleted or added years to the calendar.
They removed 300 years. It's called the phantom
Right.
time hypothesis.
What?
Right.
So
Explain this
I'll,
one
I'll
to
read
me.
more about this. Yeah. So basically, the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII all fabricated this thing that basically they said they want this year to be 81,000, but it was off by like a few hundred. So they just created the Middle Ages in like. According to this scenario, the entire Carolingian period, including the figure Charlemagne, is a fabrication with a phantom time of 297 years from 8614 to 8911. Ooh,
So
911.
the thing here is these people. This is the
It's one person.
this
It
one-
was designed in 1991.
But what he thinks is that these people back then, they wanted the year to be a particular year,
Yeah.
so they
1000.
added 297 years to the calendar to make it line up.
Mm-hmm.
What would their
legit.
motivation be? Why would they want it to be a certain year like that?
Ooh, I know, because there was this episode of DuckTales where Huey, Dewey, and Louie wanted it to be Saturday because it was their birthday and they wanted to get their birthday presents. But it was Friday and they couldn't wait. So they changed Uncle Scrooge's newspapers and clocks and everything and made Uncle Scrooge think it was Saturday. And then when like all of Uncle Scrooge's stockbrokers and stuff started calling Uncle Scrooge, they were like, "It's Friday, Uncle Scrooge. What are you doing? Why are you still in bed?" And he's like, "Ah, it's not Friday, it's Saturday." And everyone was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Scrooge. You're right. Of course you're right." So the whole world changes the calendar to Saturday, and Huey and Louie got to have their birthday, but then all this other bad stuff happened. Like all these other kids didn't get to have a birthday at all and they felt really bad, so they had to go and tell Uncle Scrooge the truth. And that
So,
was the
so
real
do you think it's
meaning
that this
of
Otto
birthdays.
von Holy Roman Emperor he just wanted it to be his birthday over and over again?
You basically have that.
Yeah, but
idea.
he didn't know when to quit. He didn't know when to
No,
quit.
no.
He
Okay.
took it too far. He thought he would just everyone was like, no, Pope, you just got to skip like 2 days. And it'll be your birthday.
Wrong birthday.
And he was
Keep
like,
on going,
no.
Aaron.
Oh,
Have to go-
Jesus' birthday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
1,000.
that's what I meant. That's what I was talking about. See, look, conspiracy theory confirmed.
That's why they did it. 1,000
Confirmed.
years. It's been 1,000 years.
Yeah. Oh man,
It's-
it all goes back
I
to
think
Jesus.
And that's just one dude. One dude is like, I'm gonna make this theory in 1991, year of our Lord, about 300 years being made up.
Checks out.
That's a good one.
Another good one.
Based on my
is,
knowledge of DuckTales lore, it checks out.
I mean, you were almost there. You just had the wrong birthday.
Instead of Huey and Louie, it was our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
on this,
Man, DuckTales totally ripped that storyline off.
Edge on this, the day after Easter.
That's right, where he rose from the
What?
dead.
Bum,
Conspiracy.
bum,
I think so.
Creating our own conspiracies now.
Yeah. I want to hear about the Jar Jar one before we have to move on to the next thing.
Okay, then I'll do one other than the
Yeah,
Jar
yeah.
Jar one.
Okay, let's do it.
Another one is Nibiru, Planet X.
Yeah, I've heard about this one.
So
That was like back in
people
the
think-
80s when we were kids. We used to hear about that.
Yeah, I think into like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
They think there's a large exoplanet that's being hidden from the populace.
But what I always want to know is why? What is the reason they think that it's
Well,
being
they
hidden?
think it because it's basically a doomsday thing. They think one day it's going to get close enough to blow up the Earth because they're going to.
Wait, the hidden planet is going to blow up the Earth?
Yeah.
Is
It's going
it
to
like
run into us.
Is it like a Death Star planet? Oh, it's going to run into us.
It's a Death Star planet if you didn't use a laser instead. use it
Instead,
like a
you just
wrecking ball,
crashed the Death Star into.
which is very effective.
Yeah, it's a pretty expensive weapon for one
I
use.
think that planet is where Uncle Scrooge hides all his money so that the Beagle Brats and Pegleg Pete
Edge, you're
and
close.
Magica
You're close.
Dispel can't get.
That's actually where all the Disney things happen, and we're just taking them from there and reissuing them as if they're like fiction.
like the
Oh.
vault. Is that where the Disney vault is
Yeah.
located?
Oh, so the government has like the super strong. That's why they sent the
No,
Hubble
not the
Space
government,
Telescope
Disney.
up.
The frozen head.
Disney is the government.
Disney sent
you
up the
heard?
Hubble
Now he
Space
is.
Telescope to spy on Nibiru and steal
There's
all
an
their
inside
storylines.
team of agents inside the Disney State Combine, and they're feeding us information by way of DuckTales. And if
Yeah.
we just follow the thread long enough, we'll know all about the Nibiru time deletion, Jar Jar Binks wormhole conspiracy that we've fallen into.
Speaking of Jar Jar Binks, good job. That's the one I probably think is the best. It's like 3 years old now, and I'll post it in chat. But basically, this guy has this overarching theory that Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord. He's the actual Phantom Menace. He is actually the whole bad impetus behind the whole prequel and the overarching everything.
Whoa, I do
And so
not
the
have the
idea is
time
that,
to
like,
read this
he's-
on the show. You got to summarize this for me.
I am. Yeah, I was just doing it.
All right.
So
sorry.
he's super stealthy. He can keep up with like Jedi's. He's well
Dexterity
trained.
6.
More than that, like he can shoot a laser with his foot and hit everything around him. Every time he
Like
talks to
going in
people,
special forces training.
he's doing this thing every time he talks to people, and they basically say the same thing as he does. He's mouthing what people say to like Qui-Gon in the background behind them, like in two scenes that are in this like Reddit thread.
Mhm.
And just this endless, I mean, it's whatever, but it's this endless list of like, this makes sense. And if like Lucas decided he got cold feet because everyone hated Jar Jar Binks. I don't know if you guys remember that distinctly,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, we still do.
yeah, but it was very, very red hot back
Yeah.
then. It wasn't.
It
We
was
didn't
a
have
meme.
like.
It was a
We
hot
didn't
meme.
even have like a way to meme about it that much. Like it was still early
yeah.
days internet, so
That's true.
it was very much like okay, yeah, we all hate this person. Let's talk about how much we hate this horrible thing.
Mhm.
But Lucas
You know,
had like a statement. I'll just
Okay.
read this really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lucas, he says, Yoda really comes through from a tradition of mythological storytelling, fairy tales. of the hero finding a little creature on the side of the road that seems very insignificant and not very important, but who turns out to be a master wizard or a master thing. And he said this around the time when Phantom Menace came out, and there's not really there's not a Yoda equivalent in the trilogy, in the prequels.
So this statement is probably one of this guy's like smoking guns, I'm guessing.
Nah, like just all the weird stuff he does in the movies is his smoking gun.
Yeah.
Like he becomes the head, well, not the head, but he's a major player in the Senate.
He did essentially make sure that Palpatine. He's the one that basically made sure Palpatine got the power to become.
Yeah, and
Emperor.
in major scenes, he's standing in front of Palpatine in like the big group shots.
Yeah.
This is like, if you have a chance, look through this Reddit thread, and it's just at the end of the day, you'll be like, yeah, whatever. But it's a very fun theory.
If nothing else, he should be an honorary Sith Lord. You know.
I have two things I'd like to quickly just throw in here real quick. Just one is that this really reminds me of the Sherlockian game, which is really interesting if anybody wants to Google that. But there's this like century-old tradition of people like doing all this research to prove that Sherlock Holmes was a historical figure and like actually existed. And you know, they don't really believe it, but it's just kind of like a fun game to play. So it sounds like it would be actually kind of fun to play this Jar Jar Binks game and like look for all the little evidence or whatever. But then the other thing I'd like to say is that this is why we need to dismantle intellectual property completely, because like in an ideal perfect world, there would be a film where it's just like the Jar Jar Binks Sith Lord Rising movie, and it doesn't have to, like, I hate the whole idea of canon. That's like that destroys so many awesome films and comic books and stuff that'll never be made, because like, why can't we just have a movie where Jar Jar Binks is like a Sith Lord and it's like a completely like straight movie, or a funny comedy or whatever, and it's just like a movie. It just exists over here. It doesn't, like, I hate this whole idea of canon. It limits the imagination.
And in that kind of regard, like the way that they people, or this guy talked about it, Edge, is that it's not a canon thing. It was we can't do this, they'll hate us kind of thing. Like there would have been a payoff in the third movie, and so like the way he says that, like Count Dooku is really like boilerplated on, because he doesn't really do anything. It could be anyone. He's not like a built up character, but he's just there afterwards in the second movie. Just there.
Yeah.
Someone should be able to make, I'm just saying this, someone should be able to get together and make a film that has like good special effects and stuff, where it's exactly the same as episode 1, except it wasn't Mace Windu. Jar Jar Binks was the Sith the whole time, and Jar Jar Binks gets chopped in half with the lightsaber at the end. Oh no, that was episode 2? I don't know.
I
wanna see that movie.
That's what fan fiction exists for, I suppose.
And there are supercuts of the prequels too that make it go a lot smoother. So they could like take a supercut and then kind of put a few choice scenes in there and get that across.
Yeah.
But that's my favorite. Do you guys, before you go, do you have a favorite particularly weird? He's gonna transition me. I saw it.
You could feel it. You could.
No, I looked. I'm looking at
conspiracy
you.
theory
I'm looking right at you.
I know that you two in particular are going to make fun of me for this, but I legitimately, I don't like full on believe this or anything like that, but like I'm giving some serious consideration to this idea that there might have been an ancient civilization that predates like anything we're aware of, because there's all this cool stuff, you know, with the pyramids and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna make fun of you for
it's
that.
Interesting to it's interesting to read about. I don't necessarily believe it,
but I really want to.
Yeah. I'm not really. I'm gonna do this.
Because like we know how they made the pyramids. Like,
no, I'm not saying that like they well, okay, but well, no, okay. We could go down this hole. Maybe we should do a pyramids episode one day. But just look into like how much the bricks weigh and how many there are for the pyramids. That's all.
Yeah, but it took like thousands of years. They did it for a long time.
Right. Well, that's impressive. That takes a lot of manpower.
It is impressive. It's impressive how many slaves they murdered to do it too.
Ooh, so woke Bobby over
No,
there.
what I'm saying is like it's not really
Bobby
that.
takes a stand against.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's you're getting the
ancient early BC Egypt pyramid slavery.
You're taking the wrong message from there. What I'm saying is like yes, it seems crazy to us because we try to take care of people and not let them die while they're pushed. But if you don't care about that, you could probably get it done a little bit faster.
Well, even if you do,
Well, look, I just want to make it clear. I'm not saying that I'm like supporting this theory or anything like that. It's fun to think about. It's fun to think about, and
don't backtrack. It's more fun to think that you are an aliens built the pyramids conspiracy theorist.
Okay, I don't think aliens built the pyramids.
All right, we're done.
What's yours?
Humans.
Oh,
you don't have to do like what you believe, but like what do you like in particular?
I don't want to. I feel like it's been talked to death lately, but I've always thought flat earthers were really interesting because of how so like refutable it is. You know, like it just
Like seeing a boat. Yeah.
But that kind of right, or like weather balloons or going on top of a really tall hill,
or taking an airplane flight.
Right.
No, my favorite. I love when they're like, I will pay $100,000 for any pilot to fly me around the world and prove Earth is round. And then a pilot will be like, okay, I'll take you.
Yeah,
and they're like, I don't trust this guy. I'm not gonna go with this guy. He's gonna throw me out of the airplane. Like I've literally seen videos where people say that.
Yeah,
I have a few quotes from that, and then you can kick us out of here. But like I have quotes from that where like people are like, or flat earthers are like, gravity isn't real, it's buoyancy. If gravity was real, why do balloons exist? It's sea level, not sea curve.
Right. That actually segues really nicely into what I do want to talk about.
Dang it, Bobby, that's exactly what we don't want.
And that's conspiracy thinking. So we've had a lot of fun talking about conspiracy theories, but what I'm always really, really interested in is why people believe the things that they believe, or why they think the way that they think. And I do spend a lot of time. I'm not even just saying that for the sake of this episode. Like, I actually do spend a lot of time thinking about why people believe in conspiracies. Like, because, again, like flat earthers, or like Ryan was saying, people who think that gravity is a hoax, or don't believe in gravity or something like that. Like, the evidence is there. It's there's overwhelming evidence that what they think is not true. Yet they still hold on to that belief. And why is that? And I think there's so many interesting reasons to that. And there's actually been a lot of science that's been done on it. To not necessarily, I don't think you can really answer the question of why do people believe.
And why are we even here?
Yeah, right. I don't
We're
think
not. We're in a simulated reality. Go back to episode 1.
Edge, I thought he was gonna give me an answer here.
I am going to give you an answer about there's correlation. A lot of the science that's been done is on correlations between like what cognitive correlates exist in side by side with conspiracy thinking. And I think that's some really cool, interesting stuff. Like science has been done that shows that that people who believe in conspiracy theories tend to have certain biases, like one that's called cognitive closure, or the need for certainty. So that's the idea that you just, there has to be that certain people have this need or desire for to be sure about something, to be certain about something, and that ambiguity or open ends just don't jive well with them. And a lot of these things that I'm going to say, like, everyone has these thoughts and feelings and biases to an extent, but people who have really strong biases in these directions tend to correlate really well with conspiratorial thinking.
Well, you're talking about heuristics, right? Where like
exactly.
your brain uses shortcuts, and for instance, when we see like a face in a piece of toast, it's not because we actually see a face in the toast. It's a heuristic our brain uses.
Exactly, and that's one of the ones that has been tested against is pattern recognition. Exactly what you're talking about. Our human brains are pattern recognizing brains, right? But people who have high degrees of pattern recognition and find patterns maybe where they don't exist in just random noise, they also tend to be, those types of people tend to correlate highly with conspiratorial thinking. You're dying to say something, Edge. What is it?
You just sound a little bit like Carl Sagan and Jordan Peterson had a baby right now.
Don't say that.
This is what happens when I get excited about something.
It's called pareidolia. Pareidolia.
Pareidolia is like when you're hearing things.
Recognizing faces.
Oh, you're thinking about Well, there's.
Oh man, I have pareidolia really bad. Like I see faces everywhere.
pareidolia.
You keep on going. I'll look it up.
Pareidolia is just seeing something in the noise. There's different types of pareidolias, like audio
pattern
pareidolias
recognition.
and facial pareidolia and stuff like that.
Great book by William Gibson.
It is actually.
Sorry,
a very
I don't
good
know
book.
anything about the science stuff. You know that. I'm just
Well,
going to be the
I'm
color
try-
commentary.
I'm here to educate you, Edge. I'm here to hand out
Edge.
the
Educate
knowledge.
you.
Yeah, I'm gonna educate. I like that.
That's a new thing.
There's also
my joke.
hyperactive agency detection. Is a
So they want to be the center of everything.
So agency detection is the idea that that we as human beings, we see something happen and we have a tendency to attribute that to some agent, some thing did it. Like things don't randomly happen. Our brains don't want to think that things randomly happen. Instead, we have
The clockmaker. Yeah.
right. We have agency detection. So we see, yeah, exactly. Clockmaker's a good example. That whole philosophical thought experiment. You walk along a beach and you see a clock on the beach. You're going to automatically assume that somebody either put it there or something like that, because we attribute
It grew out of the sand.
random events to agents. There are more common things, like if you hear a creak or a noise in your house at night, one of the first things a lot of people's brains jump to is there a person in the house or outside or something like that, rather than just thinking it's
Or a pirate ghost.
or a pirate ghost or a homeless person literally breaking into our house and Ryan rushing downstairs with a metal pipe in his underwear.
Fencing foil.
Oh, was it a fencing foil? Yeah, that happened to us.
So a metal rod. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to get too off track here, but we lived in a house that was so run down in the middle of
How run down was it?
It was
just like an abandoned neighborhood.
Yeah.
It was like the whole neighborhood around it was completely abandoned and literally like got demolished as we were living there.
Yeah.
It was
And we got-
as far away as I am from you guys now from the train tracks.
Yeah, and this is not an exaggeration. Anyway, while Ryan was there, awake, doing things, somebody broke into the house.
But there wasn't
got
an
broken into, like,
anything
3
there.
times.
I actually was just like, oh yeah, I can hear someone walking down there.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's other things. You'll like this one, Edge. Mistrust in authority correlates highly with conspiracy thinking. So there you go.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a conspiracy theory if there actually is a global group of.
You had to stop yourself from saying
organizations dedicated to
conspiracy,
your
didn't you?
destruction. It's a conspiracy theory. That means it's not yet unproven.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
I don't. What
Belief.
theory means.
Also, a big one is that has been tested for is belief in the reliability of intuition. Like people who have conspiracy thinking tendencies also tend to rely on their gut, on their intuition, more than
That's
facts.
what I was about to say. Yeah.
Much more than facts. In fact, those same people think that facts are political. And
So this is a corollary to I would have a beer of him.
Right, exactly. But so what's really interesting to me about all of this, and then we can just whatever about like just discuss this. What's really interesting to me about all of this is that a lot of these things that have been tested for and found correlate highly to conspiracy thinking are constructs that are in the brain, like they're actual. Some of them are actual centers in the brain, but they're neurological constructs in the brain, and so it's just parts of the brain that become hyperactive.
It's like Osmosis Jones.
Yes, exactly. Chris
on.
Rock is
What?
responsible for conspiracy theories.
I just wanted to make sure.
Was he
I
actually?
understood.
Wait, what?
Osmosis
saw
Jones. Okay, well, yeah. Anyway,
No one saw it. I just saw the trailer like everyone else.
I did see a
2001.
few episodes of the cartoon that was based off of it.
oh, I bet Chris Rock
God, I
didn't
can't
voice
believe
that.
they
though.
did that.
It was exactly the same, I assume.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
But yeah,
just
there's
interesting.
different
Now, I don't want
building-
to I don't want to imply, because I know when I say that it sounds like I'm sort of like leaning towards or implying that like people who believe in conspiracy theories are somehow like mentally deficient or have a brain disorder or something. I'm not saying that at all. I really am not.
We're
There
kind
are-
of set up. I think what you're saying is we're kind of set up biologically to be inclined towards conspiracy.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. That it's in a lot of ways it's surprising to me that we're not more conspiratorial than we are. because our brains are just constructed with all of these built-in biases to lead us in that direction. So
we evolved in an environment where nature, like all of nature, was conspiring to murder us like all the time.
I mean, that's true though.
Well, so that's
Seriously.
evolutionary psychology, which is a thorny subject. Like I did that in graduate school actually before I failed out of graduate school. But like we used to test ideas of like group interplay and like how much game theory kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and that was what we could actually test. But then you actually have the ideas that people talk about, like we're afraid of the dark because if you went out in the dark, then a lion would eat you, or we're afraid of snakes and spiders because like.
I'm sorry, I had an audio glitch. I'm sorry. Keep going.
That's fine. I was just rambling more about the things that people think are like. Yes, obviously they're an innate rise of man thing, but we haven't proven such.
Right.
Yeah, I don't believe in evolutionary psychology like the way, because actually evolutionary psychology is used a lot by a lot of really terrible people to justify a lot of terrible ideas.
Yeah,
so
like the stuff we were doing was like more provable stuff like game theory, which made sense.
But I was just making a goof, a gag.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something there.
A lampoon.
Well, like in its own way, evolutionary psychology is its own little conspiracy theory.
Yeah, there are a lot of people.
There's obviously evolutionary aspects of our psychology, but I don't think it like defines us as human beings.
So certainly there are, because our psychology is determined by our brain, which is a product of evolution, right? Certainly evolution has guided psychology to an extent, but I think what Ryan's talking about is that, and this is absolutely true within the psychological and the sociological community, it's very much, there are lots of people who very much think of evolutionary psychology as a pseudoscience, untestable.
Yeah.
It is.
It is actually very testable. It's just what you do.
There are certain testable aspects. Absolutely, yeah.
If you look into like what anthropologists and sociologists and psychologists like we're not these aggressive animals that want to murder each other. We're actually pretty altruistic.
Oh yeah, I know how people are using the wrongness. I'm just saying, like, and I don't like. I've never heard evolutionary psychology say we're aggressive monsters.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference.
I don't think
between
the psychologists say that, but the like libertarian shitheads.
See, that's what you're talking about.
Twisted.
The bad.
Sure,
weird
but you have to be careful, Edge, about equating a misuse of a science or a subject with its own legitimacy.
It's just so like it is not like a backdoor internet thing. It's like mainstream. Like you'll see articles like that in
I know.
Forbes and stuff. It's pretty mainstreamed in terms of like, I guess the lay non-academic community.
I'm just getting edgy with you, Edge, because like I did the studies. I'm on the papers.
Right, edge the.
No, I think we're agreeing with each other. I think you're just. I think you're both having issue with my conflation. I'm not saying that psychologists are saying this stuff. I'm saying that there are like bad people that are twisting the narrative.
Right.
Just to clarify.
That's absolutely true.
Which, going back to what Bobby was talking about, it's very easy to use that to prey upon people, especially if you have a let's just say libertarian bias. Then you're gonna easily fall into these cognitive traps.
Yeah.
Right. Most one of the things I think that's interesting about this, and is sort of to me signals that this is a more of a neurological thing. It's a brain thing, and there are definitely signs and patterns that lead to conspiratorial thinking. Is the fact that think about the people that you've seen or heard of or know that hold conspiratorial beliefs. They tend not to hold to a single conspiracy theory. It's usually clustered. They believe like if they think that the Earth is flat, then they also believe that the moon landing was faked, or they also believe that there's all these political conspiracies going. There's that the Illuminati is really common in the flat Earth thing.
Conspiracy eggs in their basket.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because
Easter.
It's not because they've latched onto this single conspiratorial idea. They were just convinced by this one, which may be true. That might have been their gateway in, but I think that the reason is because there's a tendency, whoever those people are, have a tendency to latch on to these ideas. Like, and don't you think like a lot of the narrative, especially on like YouTube and in the publicly facing conspiracy theorists, they tend to like paint themselves as heroes. You know, they're the ones who are their eyes are open and they need to
they're sharing the truth that no one else is brave enough to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't know. Oh, sorry, Ryan, you go
ahead.
first.
Oh,
Okay, I was gonna say that.
I'm gonna go then.
You.
I think that I don't think of them in biases. I think of them as heuristics because it makes it more of like this is how our brains work instead of because like biases have a negative connotation.
sure, that word
Even-
has a connotation,
even
but
always.
that's exactly what I mean by a bias. So, I'm agreeing.
No.
I do agree with you.
No, I 100% like we're saying the same thing. I'm
Yeah.
just saying it in a different way. Where I say heuristics, I mean it's like it's also positive stuff. Like there's positive cognitive biases that make our life easier.
Oh, for sure. Pattern recognition being one of them, the biggest one, right? Like that's you get through your day because of pattern recognition, like day to day, every day. So the need for certainty, the first one that I mentioned, the cognitive closure, like that's a really important heuristic as well. We seek out and take like our brains don't like ambiguity. And that happens on a sensory level too. I mean, you've got a blind spot in each of your eyes. Your brain doesn't like the fact that there's an ambiguous blind spot, so it fills it in, and you don't see a black hole in your field of vision. You know,
This is kind of slightly related, and then Edge can speak. But like, there's been a study shown, like it's probably on YouTube too, where they have you count the bouncing basketballs. And there's a lot of them. Like the people are in like they're in a street court, and at the end they're like, "Did you see the gorilla?" And a gorilla walks clear through the scene, and people never see the gorilla.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a crazy
gorilla
small number of
conspiracy.
people who actually see it. That's there's a specific term even for that, but inattentional blindness, and that's what it is. And it's that's it's what you're talking about. It's a heuristic. It's our brains. I'm constantly amazed by how imperfect. When I'm reminded of how imperfect our brains are, and we rely on them.
Hey Edge, do you remember what Bobby went to school for originally?
Psychology. Wait, no. Yeah. No, he actually went to school for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby
Yeah,
has
I
a
double
degree.
majored. Do you remember this? I double majored in psychology and theater because, that makes sense.
I didn't remember, actually.
Well, you'll be a great method actor, actually.
There you go.
A crazy person.
If you ever go down that road.
I think so.
But yeah, I guess the last thing I'll say about it is just that I think that maybe we all probably have our own, because of all this psychological stuff you're talking about, we probably all have our own version of believing in conspiracy theories. Like, I don't believe in like the secret moon base, on the dark side of the moon kind of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But I do have like my own little personal conspiracy theories because I have really bad anxiety. So like literally every time I'm talking to anybody, I'm just like convinced that they hate me and that I'm annoying the hell out of them. And that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like I have social anxiety and I have all these anxieties. So like, I also have, and I'll notice like patterns of behavior over time with people. And I'll be like, oh man, this person really despises me. Or like when I work in an office, I'll be like, oh man, all these people, they just want me to go, you know what I'm saying? Which is unreal. It's completely irrational.
I mean,
I think,
I'm
I
with
hope.
you, and then it keeps on getting deeper when you start losing me.
Right, but that's
I'm saying
it's pattern recognition that's being used for another confirmation bias, right? Like you're confirming your own predisposed opinions about yourself and about how people interact with you, and it's all
Like I might talk to the same person like 5 times in a row, and every time I talk to them, they like have to leave suddenly, and I will just be like, obviously this person hates me and they just want to get away from me, but there are so many other like plausible, like maybe this person's just really busy and they're always leaving every conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like a really
You-
personal conspiracy
You
theory.
use your cognitive biases in a good way and go to backwards and make it a positive thing where you like always reverse the thought. It's like
I need to pull a Costanza.
I mean that's actually a real thing. Yeah. It's like
Tactical Ant
not
in the
leaving
chat
it
room
on
makes a
me.
really good point. Says wasn't Edge part of the Freemasons? Weren't you?
weren't you
Yeah.
too?
Oh yeah.
Boom. I am
Or
a
did
Black Lodge
you
Mason.
went like once.
No, I went more
I
than
was-
once.
Bob was in it. Bob's a master mason.
Yes. Well,
Bob and I actually were raised to master together. Was that a secret? You want to keep
no,
that
no,
on the
no.
DL?
What I'm saying is, I don't think technically I am anymore since I haven't paid dues.
Do what I do. I call myself a Black Lodge Freemason.
Oh, that's
have my own
badass.
You and me can have our own Black Lodge.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because we're both master masons and we both know all the stuff, at least theoretically. It's in our brain somewhere.
Yeah. Which that's the only
We'll
way
talk
they.
about this.
That's
We'll
the
talk about this more offline, Bob.
That's the only way
I don't
they
like
let
this.
you remember it. You can't write it
I
down.
don't like any of this.
In your brain.
Yeah, in your brain. It's the only way anyone lets you remember anything.
Zombie.
I think we were talking about it pre-show. I think it's a good idea that we save Edge your thing for the next episode because it lines up really, really well, and I really want to.
Yeah.
I think it'll be super. Really
Can we do
good.
this ask for advice thing? Do we have time for that?
Are you talking about the You talking about the
email?
the emails? Yeah, that's why I wanted to go ahead and say we'll do that next time so
Yeah,
that we
I'd
have
rather
time
do
to
that.
answer some emails. All right, so let's
Yeah.
do that. Here, I don't have a stinger for it, but we'll do something like this. What's this thing?
I'll do
And
the
now for
music.
something completely different.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
That's good.
Play some music on top of it. All right, we take emails at jbycshow@gmail.com.
I don't know about that.
We have an email address. You can send your emails to us and we can read them on the show. Ask us questions. We'll answer them just like the one we're about to do. But do that because this is going to be my favorite part of the show. I know it already. We got an email. It says, "Dear JBYC panel." We're a panel.
Hi.
My girlfriend and I met at work and still work together in the same department. We've been pretty serious about each other for about 5 months. The problem is that we're both up for the same promotion, and we both want it really badly. What should I do? Signed, Ambitiously Ambiguous in Albany. Now, listen, guys. This is where we have a critical choice to make at this juncture. Do we answer these questions
What are their current jobs?
seriously?
I mean, we
Or
do
not.
both.
All right. What is their current job? Well, we can't ask. We don't know that. We have to.
Okay, so if one makes a lot more money than the other one, then I feel like
Ooh.
there's definitely then the person that has a bigger rung to jump has like a better claim on that.
Bobby Ryan is going the Vulcan route.
Right. So you're
not Vulcan.
min maxing the
Assuming-
economics of the situation, right?
The
Well,
logical,
I mean-
the logical conclusion. That,
Two of
you know,
us still live in this hellscape, and it's rough. And having more money is good if you're
But-
gonna end up being a couple.
But don't you
afterwards.
feel like that's a little short-sighted, Ryan? They might not be together
No.
forever, and he or she might be shooting themselves in the foot.
Then you both go for it, and you deal.
Bobby's
with
the Ferengi.
you
Where's
deal
the
with
profit?
horribleness. Wait, I'm doing the profit though.
No, you're Vulcaning it. The Ferengi's like literally
You're doing
sell out their
individual
family members.
Yeah.
like
I'm
at
doing
every opportunity. It's
long-term
one of the rules of
max
acquisition.
It literally is one of the rules of acquisition.
Yeah. So I think you're the Vulcan, Ryan. Bob's the Ferengi.
I think it's like
And I'm gonna be the
I think the
irrational.
rule. I don't know the number, but it is like profit before family or something like that.
I'm gonna go irrational Starfleet human honor. I would
Let's
just
go.
say like, look, if you're in Starfleet and because this happens in Star Trek, you know, all the time. Two people who really care about each other are both competing for the same thing. Like for instance, in episodes like 2 and 3 of Star Trek Voyager, where Torres and some other dinky minor character are both trying to go for the chief engineer position, right? Well, they're both. Well, technically, Torres isn't really in Starfleet. She's actually a Maquis. But anyway, sorry, I'm trying not to geek out too hard. But anyway, you be professional and you respect each other and you do the best. You both do the best you can, and you secretly behind the scenes at all times seek to overthrow capitalism and dismantle the hierarchy of the place. You know, salt a
That's
union, and
not-
then you don't have to fight each other.
That's
You can
not
work
Captain
together.
Top.
But in the meantime, yeah, I know that's definitely like I'm more
You
Maquis
lost
than
it.
Starfleet. No, but I would just say like, look, you're both in a terrible situation. You both care about each other. Just respect each other. I would just not even. I would. Okay. simplest way to put it, keep your relationship and your work life like totally separate.
Okay,
You
I
know
have
what
a
I mean?
solution.
Like
you devise a series of events like we used to do on every Saturday.
challenges.
House challenges. yeah.
Challenges. You have an independent person make several of them so that it's equal.
Cannot
in
be a
terms of, like-
cannot be a coworker.
No.
Presume-
Well, I mean, if you want to get the boss that's actually going to look at these,
Ooh,
into
even
it,
better. Yeah.
So make it part of okay.
Part of the application, the
First-
interview process.
You might want to ask him who else is in there because it might be other people. So it's you, your girlfriend, and Bob. Let's say those are the 3 people. So have the boss. He's like, okay, I'm gonna judge you upon your actual merit, but also how you do in these series of ever increasing in difficulty challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. For
Like
sure.
Festivus challenges.
No, I was thinking like Ninja Warrior or like
Okay.
Boxcar Derby or like
Take
Stand on one
like
foot.
capitalist libertarian meritocracy to the total extreme.
Yeah.
Who
Yes.
has the most merit?
So side question. Which faction do each of us represent from Deep Space Nine? Clearly, Edge is the Maquis. Ryan.
There are no Vulcans in Deep Space Nine, so
Yeah. Ryan, are you
I can't just go with
Starfleet?
that
The
because,
Romulan.
like 20 years ago, I was called a robot.
you have to be Romulan.
Romulan.
Sorry.
I guess they are.
They don't
kind
have
of-
Vulcans, and Romulans are the closest
I
equivalent.
guess
There's
they are.
Rom- there's a lot
They're
of
they're
Romulans.
cutthroat. They're very intense.
Although now that you're talking about all these tests and challenges of strength, maybe you're the Klingon, Ryan.
That's a good point. I don't think.
It will be a General Martok. You're General Martok. It'll be a glorious battle.
What is it? Qualta
Sorry,
Blade?
I just wanted to do my General Martok
My
impression.
Qualta Blade. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I definitely would be a Ferengi, though. I've loved the Ferengis too much. Quark
Ferengi
is my
episode-
favorite.
objectively,
Quark
the
is my
Picard
favorite Star
series
Trek
they're doing
character of
should
all time.
be
Yeah.
like I'm telling you, I'm absolutely serious. The new Picard series should just be like Picard has to live on Ferenginar, and all the other characters are Ferengis.
Hold on.
So
What's
this
the
is like
name
a
of the
sitcom.
planet?
I would watch every episode.
Yeah.
Yes, no, a Ferengi sitcom. Luna and I were talking about how awesome it would be if they literally just made a Ferengi sitcom. And it's just like the dad is like an old-fashioned conservative Ferengi, and the mom is like getting in with the times and starting to like wear clothes all the time, and the kids are just like totally countercultural and Ferengi. It would be so good, so good. I would
Yeah.
love that show.
Ferenginard?
They'll
Ferenginar,
never
that's
make
the home planet.
Nar?
The
I heard Nard.
Yeah, who
With
was
D on there.
who is that guy Quark's nephew or whatever it was? What was his name?
Nog?
Nog. Yeah, Nog would be
Nog.
on there trying to teach people about baseball and
Yeah,
and
it would be such a good show.
I get yeah.
So what you do is you both pick your favorite Star Trek series.
Yes, this is the way
Then
you do it.
Then you ask,
Pick
you
a
put
Star
it
Trek
on,
faction.
you put it on your resume, and then whichever is closest to what the boss guy actually thinks what his favorite is. Like it's like, oh, I'm a Next Gen fan also. Then that person wins. Whoever.
No, I was gonna say pick a Star Trek species. Each of you picks a Star Trek species, and then your boss also has to pick a Star Trek species, and then you just role play a scenario.
Yes.
Like you can actually just go on eBay and buy the old Star Trek role playing
In like a
game,
group interview.
and everyone make instead of resumes and like progress reports, you actually just roll up some character sheets, and you just
You
dice it out.
LARP and whoever survives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I love this
Gets
idea.
that position.
yeah, exactly. Because then you've got oh man, who would you pick though if you want to? Clearly, Klingon's an obvious choice, but
I mean, in the workplace, I would probably go Ferengi.
well, again,
But
it
Klingon's
depends.
not a
We
bad
don't-
choice
not
if you
knowing
don't
what
mind
the
shedding
business is.
blood.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
You
You're
could
not
just-
going to be able to have weapons in the interview. You
Says
can
you.
improvise. Says yeah.
If the
okay,
boss is
yes.
a Klingon, then there's going to be weapons in the interview.
Yeah, but he's the boss.
Challenge
Like,
of batleths.
Yes.
he opens the drawer next to him, and then he's just like, "Here, yours." And then they both get up on like, then all the walls pull away, and there's this like fire, and it's like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Kapla.
Sorry, we've completely alienated anyone in our audience that doesn't watch Star Trek by this point.
We did not.
Yeah.
'Cause we kept on answering the question.
Yeah. So I do
We
think
gave
that
several solutions.
basically you're screwed. You have to break up and
Just watch Star Trek
Yeah.
and don't worry about the job and just whoever gets it. That's
both of you quit your job, find new jobs, start a business of your own, be a capitalist.
No. Co-op. I would say salt a union together. That's the real victory.
That's a good idea. Let's do
Just like Rom did in Deep Space Nine.
what did Ron
Is
do?
that transition, Bobo?
Yeah,
Ron
I'm
started
looking
a
for it
union.
right here. I'm doing it right now. That's
Rom
not the right
quoted
one.
Marx in an episode of Deep Space Nine to Quark's
I
face.
can't find it.
It was
Jesus
the
Christ.
greatest moment in Star Trek history.
This is too much.
I've been rewatching Farscape. It's very much not Star Trek. It's on Prime.
There
now,
we go.
so you
There
can
we
watch
go.
it.
There's
Okay.
Muppets, Jim Henson.
Okay.
It's really good.
That music sounds like the end of our episode, guys. But never fear, if you're listening live, we'll continue all this
like
in
how
the
you said
after party. You don't like how I said it? Well, that's how I said it.
Live.
Live. You will continue this live. And if you're not listening to this live, well, maybe if you want to come to the after party, you got to listen live, man. So do that. That's a good.
If you want to hear more of Bobby's aged wizard impression,
If you want to come and listen to JBYC.
Frankenberger the Green.
That's a good time to remind our podcast listeners that we actually record this live on YouTube. Just go to JBYC. .net and there's links there, or you can just go straight to youtube.com/JBYC show because we have that custom URL sweetness now.
yeah, 100 subscribers.
Well, I would do.
Stay a while and listen.
So, as you know, this week's theme was not what it says in the notes. It was conspiracy theories. If you want to vote on what the show's future themes are going to be, you got to head over to our Discord server where we'll have a poll up. Also, I'll post that on Twitter, so if you go and follow at JBYC Show on Twitter, you'll find it there too. We get what our themes are going to be every episode from you guys, the listeners.
Me and Edge don't know until he says it right now.
Yeah, speaking of the after party, if you show up for the after party, they help us figure out what's going to be on the poll options. Next week's theme has already been decided by the community. It's gonna be. Why are all my notes wrong? It's gonna be weird interests. That's what it is. I see you waiting there. Okay, it's going to be weird interests, so send your news, stories, topics, prompts, anything you want us to talk about having to do with weird interests to on our Discord channel. We've got a suggestion box there. You can do it there. Or you can email us at jbycshow@gmail.com. That's it for me and Ryan and...
Send more advice.
What?
You gotta let me do you decide.
Oh, what?
I'm trying to make that a thing.
I'm trying to remember what you're even talking about, though.
say something like, next week's theme we already know about, but the week after...
Oh, yeah. So next week's theme... Here we go, take two. Next week's theme we already know about. It's going to be weird interest, but the week after that, episode 7 is going to be...
You decide!
That's right. You guys get to decide what it's going to be, and I've already told you how to do that. We're working on that one. So from me, from Ryan, and from Edge, American Johnson, bye-bye.
Toodles.
Kapla! Because Discord automatically lowers the ball. How does it affect? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a radio button.
Radio button.